Just as a timeline mark, I wrote up the concept and script of this topic like 2 weeks before the infamous This Week in Destiny update of this past week, where they mentioned that an activity from Season 18 will be added to the portal. However, there is plenty more to discuss, so just keep in mind some opinions may be different after the recent news. Anyways, let's get into the topic at hand. Bungie famously in the past has made a content cycle that, while they don't want to admit it, will always be played with the fear of missing out, or FOMO as it's been dubbed. Originally, Destiny 1 had no real cycle outside of the gear that rotated in and out every update. In terms of content, outside of the seasonal events like Rise of Iron's Dawning, nothing was ever cycled out. Base Destiny, The Dark Below, House of Wolves, The Taken King's April update, Rise of Iron, Age of Triumph, literally every single release of new content in Destiny 1 exists to this day. Every campaign, exotic quest, strike, raid, every one all exists to this day. Ultimately due to Destiny 1 being not so much live service in the same sense you would expect today. Destiny 2 when it began was not too different than its predecessor, for the initial DLCs and annual releases up until year 4. Till the infamous year of Beyond Light, Destiny 2 only got additions to its content roster. The 2 raid layers, Escalation Protocol on Mars, the Blind Well, Black Armory Forges and Scourge of the Past, Gambit Prime and the Reckoning, Menagerie and the Crown of Sorrow, plus campaigns, story quests for seasons, exotic quests, plenty of strikes. Every bit of content in the first few years of Destiny built till Shadowkeep and the launch of Destiny's current seasonal model. 4 seasons a year, spanning about 3 months for each season featuring a new story, seasonal content, quests, and more of the now usual Destiny season stuff we have come to expect. The big hang-up during this time, as I've mentioned in the past, was that once a season came to an end, that was it. Season ends and closes everything related to it. Quests, gear, activities, season pass content, everything that had a tag relating it to a certain season was gone with the wind as soon as a season's time was up, creating a massive wave of FOMO, because if you weren't around, taking a break from Destiny, playing a new game release, off traveling for work, for whatever reason, if you weren't around during a season, too bad, so sad, you missed out. Bungie had heard the bad feedback regarding the FOMO. In the same year sunsetting hit Destiny 2, seasonal content got a change to prolong a season's lifetime. But the FOMO was still close behind. Even after Bungie made seasons stick around for a while, they still didn't have a long lifespan, because the moment a new year of Destiny rolled in, the entire previous year of Destiny was cleaned out. In this case, Season of the Hunt, Chosen, Splicer, and Lost all existed in connection with the rest of the world at the time, till the Witch Queen released in full. Then everything related to the last year of seasons, like a puff of smoke, gone. Even created a weird cycle where the first season had the full year, while the last season only had about 3-ish months barring a delay in the release cycle. So there was some weird bias in active times. If someone liked the last season's main activity a lot more than the rest, you had a lot less time to enjoy it. Unfortunately, this is how it stayed even till this current day. A year of seasons released one by one till the next year came around and deleted the previous year, replacing it with another year of seasons, still sunsetting and still creating a cycle of FOMO. Sadly, due to the fact that everything that rotated out never rotated back in. There may be some weapon sets revived and re-rolled somewhere down the line, but it would certainly take some time getting to those gear revivals. The activities, though, often never seen again, with the exception of any new permanent activities like raids and strikes. Even Battlegrounds were on the removed list for some time, till Bungie decided to add Battlegrounds to the Strike playlist to replace Sunset Strikes. But these were hollow half measures in the end. The addition of Battlegrounds to Strike playlist led to Battlegrounds as Grandmaster Nightfalls that still often are the most difficult and least cohesive strikes for Grandmaster adaptations, often featuring encounters with unlimited spawning adds, arenas with little to no cover, and objectives that were often just stand in a room and do your best to survive unlimited waves of spawning adds. But let me get back on track. Bungie since 2020 had been running on the same seasonal content model of 4 seasons a year, rotating a new set of seasons with each annual DLC. Then the portal happened. As much as the portal has its many issues, like the half-baked new light grind we have to redo every so often just because, lacking little new content and so far only relying on refreshed legacy content, in my opinion, Bungie can have a good win if they work specifically on adding more sunset content into the portal. When the portal released, there were 2 featured activities that were once sunset after a year rotated out, specifically Savathûn Spire and the Coil featured in Seasons 22 and 23 right before Final Shape. Frankly, I imagine these were the easiest to add back, considering they were fairly recent and still up to date in terms of not only mechanics, but likely coding as well, as Bungie has cited coding mismatches being why a lot of sunset content stays sunset and not restored to the current continuity. However, as much as it sounds very armchair developer to say this, Bungie needs to stop complaining that the code doesn't match and get to work bringing back all the countless seasonal activities that are ripe for addition to the portal. Frankly, as much as it pisses me off to hear Red War and previous campaigns are lost to time, allegedly, it angers me so much more to think that Bungie is spoiled for choice in the many activities right there, ready and waiting to be adapted for modern day, and they are just plain ignored. Like, to fire off just how much there is, I'm going to list out every seasonal activity with some visual aids to help keep track. Undying had the Vex Offensive and the Vex Offensive Undying Mind Assault. Dawn had the Sundial with 3 different Scion Flares and a Legend Sundial variant. Worthy had the Seraph Towers and Seraph Bunker legendary Lost Sectors. Arrivals I could see being skipped, as it had the Contact public event on all the locations that were sunset, and we all know Bungie seems allergic to the idea of restoring previously paid for locations. But Arrivals also had the mission where we hunt down Nokris, so there's still something. Hunt had Wrathborn hunts, the High Celebrant hunt mission, and the Harbinger exotic mission for Hawkmoon, still yet to be restored or even mentioned by Bungie. Chosen, frankly, still has every activity still around, since Battlegrounds are originally from here and the Proving Ground strike was relatively permanent, truly a rare exception. Splicer had the variety of override missions and the multiple different expunge missions, not to mention the final Quira hunt mission. Lost ended this year with the 3-player Shattered Realm activities and 6-player Astral Alignment offensives that even had the Exorcism version that acted as the year's big conclusion, leading into Witch Queen. Risen ended up like Chosen, where its main activity of Psyops Battlegrounds largely exists in current Destiny 2. Another rare occurrence that 2 seasons of 19 kept its activities after it was sunset for a while. Moving on, Haunted had Nightmare Containment with the different Sever activities. Plunder had Catch Crash and Expedition, and Seraph had Heist Battlegrounds that have also been returned for a while now. Again, this is 3 seasons out of 19 that kept something that wasn't a strike, exotic mission, or raid. Defiance had the Defiant Battlegrounds that managed to stick around after being added to the strike playlist the immediate year after. Deep had Salvage, the roguelike deep dive, and probably the activity that should never have been removed, Fishing. No joke, why did they remove it? Such a small and simple thing didn't have to be tied to a season directly. While we get to Witch, Savathun Spire has been returned, but there is still the Altars of Summoning right there next to it. Same with Wish, as the Coil was a roguelike version of Riven's Lair, right there for restoration. However, episodes are weird, because no matter where I searched, I couldn't get a contextual list of current activities in the portal. So if anything was kept current from Echoes, Revenant, or Heresy other than the exotic missions, I literally had to reinstall Destiny 2, check the portal, and uninstall again just to fact check this while running up this video. I can say for certain after a check, the only thing that survived from episodes were the 2 exotic missions from Echoes and Revenant. Not Heresy though. Guess the Dreadnought wasn't important enough to stick around in Bungie's eyes. Now, like I mentioned before, the portal, regardless if it's Bungie or Sony at the helm, can be used as a gateway to restoring previously available sunset activities. Even if they are incredibly simple activities, it would still be something. Would be better to return beloved activities like Menagerie for the Pinnacle grind than running something like Caldera and Solo Ops over and over again. A good way for Bungie to possibly restore some faith in the community is, returning back some of the content we paid for. Mentioned in the past, I'm fairly certain people would forgive breaking timeline continuities if we just got more sunset content back. Like, I get that the Fallen District of the Last City is where Mithrax and the House of Light are posted up, but I don't care if they disappear suddenly when running back Scourge of the Past, if we could just have Scourge of the Past back. I'm sure people can forgive not restoring Mercury back in Patrol if we could run the Sundial again. Plus, there's been Crucible and Gambit maps on sunset planets. For real, Bungie has already broke continuity before. Please Bungie, just buck up and get it done, and maybe you can buy yourself some more time. Now, as an additional note, I am of course aware of how much Bungie is planning to add to the portal come Ash and Iron, a few battlegrounds, a trio of strikes, and sunset activities from Plunder and from Episode Revenant. There is a lot more that could be added, so much so that instead of adding to the portal at the start of every new update, theoretically you could release override missions across a pattern of 4 weeks, and then immediately after that start adding the expunge missions across each week, repeating this cycle until you get completely caught up. Could be a better way than updating the portal once every few months when you get to new seasonal releases, especially since seasonal releases may not always continue. Either way, let me know in the comments down below. If Bungie restored sunset content back into Destiny 2 for free, would you give Destiny 2 another chance? Or is Bungie one foot in the grave and the other foot on a fallen slow mine?
Guardian down.
If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, bringing common sense back to Destiny, be sure to subscribe, as it's become my own crusade to try and bring back the Destiny I once hyperfixated on with all of the undiagnosed autism. And on that note, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.